Welcome back to Spiritual Wisdom. If you've been following along, you know we've journeyed through the towering minds of Islamic philosophy, from al-Farabi and Ibn Sina to al-Ghazali and Ibn Rushd. Today we're venturing into a new realm, one that fuses philosophy, mysticism, and metaphysics in a uniquely powerful way. Our spotlight today is on Mulla Sadra, one of the most influential thinkers in Persian and Islamic intellectual history. Born in 1571 in Shiraz, Persia, modern-day Iran, Mulla Sadra lived in a time of great change, politically, religiously, and intellectually. The Safavid Empire had established Shia Islam as the state religion, and religious scholarship was flourishing. But Mulla Sadra wasn't content with repeating old doctrines. He sought something deeper, something more integrative. And that led him to develop a bold new school of thought known as the Transcendent. It's a philosophy that transcends mere intellectual analysis. It's not just about logic and argument, it's about spiritual insight. Mulla Sadra believed that true knowledge came not only through reason, but through spiritual unveiling, a merging of heart and mind. At the heart of his philosophy was a revolutionary concept, the primacy of existence over essence, asalat, al-wujud. Now I know that might sound a bit abstract, so let's unpack it. In classical Islamic philosophy, especially from Ibn Sina, the dominant view was that essence came first. That is, what something is mattered more than the fact that it exists. But Mulla Sadra flipped that. He argued that existence is primary, that things are real not because of what they are, but because they exist. And existence itself, he said, is a dynamic graded reality, like a spectrum. Everything that exists shares. This led to his famous idea of the gradation of being, tashkīk, al-wujud. Think of existence like light. A candle and the sun both emit light, but to vastly different degrees. Similarly, all things exist, but not with the same intensity. God is pure existence, the brightest light, so to speak, while everything else reflects that existence in lesser degrees. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Mulla Sadra didn't just philosophize from an armchair. He was deeply spiritual. He practiced asceticism, engaged in long periods of retreat, and emphasized inner purification. For him, philosophical inquiry and spiritual discipline were two sides of the same coin. You couldn't just study the truth, you had to live it. Another key part of his system was the unity of the intellect and the intelligible. What does that mean? Essentially, Mulla Sadra believed that when we truly know something, knowledge isn't just information stored in your brain, it's a form of existential connection. This idea has echoes in mystical traditions across the world. Let's also talk about his views on the soul. For Mulla Sadra, the soul isn't something fixed and unchanging. Instead, he believed in the substantial motion, al-harakat, al-jawhariyya, of all things, including the soul. This means that everything is in a constant state of becoming. The soul, he argued, evolves over time, moving from potentiality to actuality. It begins with material existence, but through knowledge, ethical living, and spiritual refinement, it can ascend to higher levels of being, ultimately reaching union with the divine. Mulla Sadra's thought was a synthesis of many traditions. He drew from peripatetic philosophy, like Ibn Sina, illuminationist philosophy, from Suhrawardi, Kalam, Islamic theology, Sufism. It's no wonder that his philosophy is seen as one of the most integrated systems in Islamic intellectual history. Of course, like many great thinkers, Mulla Sadra faced opposition. Some scholars of his time accused him of heresy. He was even forced into exile for a while, but he didn't give up. He continued to write, teach, and reflect. His magnum opus, al-Asfar, al-Arba, Four Journeys, is a massive, multi-volume work that explores the metaphysical journey of the soul in search of truth. Today, Mulla Sadra's influence is strong in Shia seminaries, particularly in Iran, but his ideas are increasingly being studied and appreciated across sectarian and philosophical lines. Why? Because they speak to the deepest human questions. What is existence? What is the soul? How do we truly know? And how do we move closer to ultimate reality? So what can we learn from Mulla Sadra? That philosophy doesn't have to be dry or detached. It can be a living, breathing path, one that leads not just to intellectual insight, but to spiritual transformation. He reminds us that the quest for truth isn't just in books. It's in our being, our ethics, our inner journey. Thanks again for tuning in to Spiritual Wisdom. In our next episode, we'll explore the legacy of Islamic philosophy during the Ottoman and Mughal eras. Times of great empire and cultural exchange. What happened to the philosophical tradition then? You'll find out soon. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay curious and stay wise. Thank you so much.